be friendly. We're not here to pick on you.
Yeah, nobody.
We're not here to scream at you. Nobody wants to yell at you. Nobody wants to yell at you. We're all.
This is going to be for all the candidates.
We're all disappointed in the town.
I'm looking you right in the face and telling you Lakewood is not a done deal.
I personally think if we stop throwing hash about the past, and what we should do is we should put ideas out what they're going to do in the next 4 years.
That's not what I want.
All right, Kevin. What are you guys going to do in the next 4
The
years?
mayor's had an opportunity to read a 3 or 4 page letter from a person that was well respected who is now deceased. May she rest in peace. Why don't we give the same opportunity to the other candidates at the table?
Yes, please.
Now that the mayor's had an opportunity.
My
Let's
thing
move
wasn't
on.
like this.
I don't want to talk about Lakewood. That's fine. Like I said, what's the next one?
Next question is, what are we going to do with this town to bring business in this town? What are you going to do that you have, and what are you going to do to change it?
Well,
Or would you not change anything?
the fact of the matter,
And same thing's going to be for Jamie, and then what are you guys going to do?
the fact of the matter is that, of course, the last 4 years have been tough. It's been really.
Hey, quiet, please.
He's talking. Go ahead, Bill.
Last 4 years have been tough. And most people don't understand that besides the residential industry that has had trouble, because none of them could get financing. They couldn't get money to buy a home, they couldn't get money to build a home. Most people, since they're not in the business industry, don't understand that the business industry is having the same problems. The reason you haven't seen anything happening in 4 years is because there was no financing. There was no liquidity. And the reason I know this, I have relationships with probably about 7 banks. Okay? And the fact is, if you had a new business or you wanted to start a new business, you couldn't get financing. If you wanted to expand your business, you couldn't get financing. If you wanted to build a new building to put your business in, you couldn't get financing. And if you wanted to build out one of our existing buildings, you couldn't get financing. So the fact
So
of
you're
the matter
telling me
is,
you couldn't get financed?
that's exactly.
Isn't that throughout the whole country, though?
Nobody can.
But that's
It's not
the
just
point.
Manhattan.
That's the point. That's the point I'm trying to make is that there are no simple, easy answers when it comes to economics.
No, there isn't.
There is not.
Do we think
But is there a
Walgreens really
plan?
needs financing?
Walgreens lost financing. I have
lost
the letter.
financing.
If you go to my website, you'll find right there the letter from the developer of Walgreens saying that they are sorry that they lost their financing and they congratulate the village for helping them get as far as they did.
But I think
And the other thing is that we had
Do you have a plan? Like, we all know it's
Yeah.
hard, but there has to be a plan.
So here-
There
He's the
isn't.
mayor, there's a village board, he's a tie-breaking
So here-
vote, it's the village board that decides everything, truthfully.
Okay. Yes,
When
ma'am.
when it comes down to it, it's the village board.
But he's what
If there's
we're
a
voting
tie-
in, though, right
But
now.
if there's a tie, he breaks a vote, it's the village
I
board.
still, but we're
that
voting
does
okay,
for
it.
mayor.
guys.
Ideas.
Right. Well, the fact of the matter is, any ideas that are brought up to the from the village board level are all heard. If Jamie has an idea about new business over the last 6 years, I would have welcomed it. Because if it's good for Manhattan, it's good for me and it's good for him. The fact of the matter is there are no easy solutions. Now, what am I going to do? What do I want to do? Well, first of all, we're continuing to market our town. During my 8 years, we've pulled together all the demographics. We've put together maps. We've put together drive-by statistics. All of the major national chains, decisions are made based on business models. Business models are all built around demographics. Average household income, number of rooftops, density within a mile, 2 miles, 3 miles. They also want to know what the drive-by traffic is on a major road. They want to know all of these things. We pulled all that information together. We put it on, we created brochures. We put it on our village's website. We've handed it out. I've personally been to probably 16 trade shows or more. There's national trade shows and there are local trade shows in Chicago for commercial retail development. We have been at every single one of them. We've met with the Walmarts, we've met with the McDonald's, we've met with the CVS, we've met with Walgreens. They all say the same thing. Mayor, when the economy comes back, we're coming back to Manhattan. We know that's where we're going to want to be because we know that that is a growth area and it's going to be big someday. But they said the economy has to straighten out first and residential has to rebound. Well, what do we got? The housing is rebounding. We issued 33 permits in 2012, or we're going to be issuing probably close to 50 in 2013. We know that with that comes more interest from the builders and developers, from commercial retailers, and the lending institutions have all started to loosen their grip.
Go ahead, Don. See what you got.
One thing that
Who are you?
my name's Don Hunt. Sorry. One thing people don't know, I work construction. I'm a 176 union member. You meet people working construction. You meet people that give the financing, that have the plans, that make the money, that build the stuff. I was told numerous times, as soon as you get a better mayor and get rid of that village administrator because it's dealing with children, Manhattan will have businesses. That's the cut and dry of it. We get a better mayor.
Pretty amazing.
It is. It absolutely is.
Mike?
I'd say that's
Yeah, but you're commenting on everybody that talks.
I
Let
am
them
not.
talk.
I'm not.
If we're going to interrupt each other, let me ask you a
it's not
question.
right.
Those flower
He's
pots in
manipulating
front of
it.
your house, in front of your apartments, whose are those?
We own.
Then why are village employees maintaining them all the time? You're full of shit. I work for the village.
Come on,
No, that's not true.
we're not talking that way.
Swearing, no nothing.
We're no swearing, we're not talking that way.
Sorry.
That's because well, it can't because the flowers are artificial.
Well, then why
So
was
there's no maintenance to them.
Then why
So
was-
Don, there's no reason for that. You know that.
Brian all summer maintaining them?
They're
Why-
artificial flowers. How do you maintain artificial
Time!
flowers?
Doesn't matter, I don't care about flowers.
Mike, do you remember the conversation? It's been like 3 days ago.
What are you going to do in the future?
Yeah, we're going to talk about what we're going to do in the next 4 years. So I know it's been a tough economic time, but aside, we need to earn our trust with the business people that we have here and our village. We have to be extra supportive. We have to focus on bringing in citizen involvement and making sure that the people know what they want and everyone works together. We have to give major incentives to get certain businesses in town because there is financing that I do truly believe out there because other towns around us are always building and building and building. So I think that if we give a big enough incentive to get certain structures and certain businesses in here, others will slowly follow because
Like a TIF program or
yeah,
something?
well, I think a TIF district would be good, but not right now. I think that, after you get a few in there, a few businesses in there, then you can start a TIF district because that'll freeze the taxes and then you can make some money on that to put into the downtown area that we have. So basically, all we have to do now, I think, is just service what we have. Work with owners of buildings that try to reduce their rent. If we can do anything as the village to reduce some of the rent or give them some incentives that are already there in order to get businesses to come in here in order to make them last, to really support them. So I think it's basic, just to start there. That's all you can do. I mean, it is tough economic times. There's no magic wand that you can, dust anything over. I mean, it's just, you just have to focus
Yeah,
on,
it'd be better for all
and
of us.
I think that we should work with the park district and bring maybe a dog park over here so people travel through the downtown area and they see what's out here instead of just leaving from Foxford that way. We need to get more traffic through the businesses that we do have and then focus on beautifying the outside and just start there. I mean, just get a good connection with the business owners and the citizens and make a community again so there's none of this arguing and fighting anymore. And I think we'll do a lot better because if you're a business owner, you drive in town, you see empty buildings everywhere, and then you talk to business owners and they're upset, and the citizens are upset. Why would you put a business here? You're not going to do it. You're going to say, you know what, let's wait till they hash out their personal beliefs and issues and move forward. So I'd like to just get a clean slate and let's talk about the future, not yesterday.
Jamie?
Agree.
Okay, the past is the past is over. We need to move forward, we need to do what's best for Manhattan. We got incentive programs set up on land north of Burkott's. We need to consolidate it, make it better, make it more enticing. We need to get people to start patronizing the businesses in town to support our base. Once our base is supported, it'll show the outside business that we will support them when they come in. We also need to harness things around us like the racetrack. Bring the people into town. You bring them into town, they'll find the other businesses that we have in town. And a hotel convention center is something that we've been working on for a long time that will do that. I have the experience to do it. We've been working on it. I know what the people want now, and I have learned from the past, and I will work with people, with the board. I've never had a problem working with the board. I never had major arguments with the board, and I never had a slate that voted with me every time on every issue. The trustees differed on different issues. I want an independent board because that brings more opinions to the table on what we need to do, and it helps us with the business community. The village also has to get out there and promote the businesses. We need to get up front and promote them, not hand out a 20-page report that ComEd has and says, what can we do to help you? And then when they come back and sit down with them, say, well, there's nothing we can do. We need to sit down with the business and work with them and find out where we can do it and what we can do with it, because that's what we really need to do. And then once we stabilize our base, we're going to start getting things in. But in the meantime, we still keep working on this convention center, because you bring that in and people see that come in, you're going to get more business in behind it. Because you start tapping that racetrack stuff, 1 day a year, 2 days a year, that's how some stores make all their money. Christmas. We do it with a racetrack. We got Irish Fest. You can market the boats. You can market the slammers. There's a lot of things out there we can market that don't even belong in Manhattan. But we need to support the businesses in Manhattan. And at the Chamber of Commerce, I got to ask, do you do business in town? I do Vet in town, Doctor in town, Dollar Store, Kirby's. I do Burcott's. I do BP, Bank in town. I do accountant in town. Most of my business is done in town, so I am truly doing stuff in town to support the businesses, and I believe that we really need to do that. You know, it starts with us here. The leaders also got to be out there forefront saying, hey, this is what we need to do, and he needs a board with him that's united, that will work with him, yet independent, because they'll bring different ideas to the table to say, hey, maybe we should do this. Maybe, because the mayor doesn't think of everything. It's the board too. And everybody votes on everything, you know. So you got to have a strong board that will work together, that will be independent, that if you disagree on one thing, when you walk out the door, you're still talking to each other, because the next issue, you're going to be together on it. That's the way the town used to be. That's what we got to get back to, and that's how we move forward. You know, Manhattan's a great place to live. We're losing the family-friendly atmosphere. We got to get that back. Once we get the hometown feeling back and get people using our businesses, we're going to be a lot better off. You know, it's everybody helping everybody here. And I know it's finite money, but that money keeps those businesses going, which pays sales tax to this town, which helps us keep property taxes stable. You stabilize the businesses, you stabilize your property taxes also, and that is a key factor. Because we've lost a lot of businesses in this economy, and it's not all the mayor's fault, it's not all the board's fault. The economy did a lot of it. But some of it is our fault because we haven't promoted it enough, and the people in town don't even know where these businesses are. I mean, we have to work closely with the chamber to do that.
Well, which is why I am involved heavily with the chamber. I'm on a membership committee, and I'm also involved with, we just had a new program. Instead of just having business after hours, we want to open it up to the community and have an open house at all the businesses. Every month have an event at a different business, because people drive by all the time and say, well, I don't know what that place is, I'm not going to go in there. But if you give them some kind of an incentive to come and view the business, you might get new customers. The dental office will get some new patients. You know, Country Flooring would get more people. Kirby's would get people to come in, just people that had never been in there, and they go in there and say, wow, this is really nice, I love it. So that's what we got to focus on, is really promoting in that way. I think using the chamber is vital. I think that we should have those open houses every month and get as many people. Every board member and every chamber member should bring someone to that hasn't been there.
And that's why I was heavily.
Very good, Mike. You should show Bill Kirby's.
And that's why I was heavily. That's why I was heavily involved in the chamber also. I was on the board of directors for years at several times. The chamber was dormant when I was mayor. We brought it back. We had the open houses. You were on the chamber when I brought it back. You know, businesses were involved and they were working together and networking and having these things. We got to bring all that back. It seems to have died over the years, but people have gotten too busy in their own little worlds trying to survive that they're not out there networking like they should be, and we need to help get them out there to do that.
Who puts that process in play, though, to make that happen?
The chamber and the village have to work closely together to do that.
Why don't we, all you guys give us one new idea in the next 4 years that would be something different to bring in business and economy into the village. something out of the box, something that would be different, that would help bring business in.
Well, then the new
One
idea.
at a time.
I'll start with that one.
Something new.
We've been focusing on commercial and retail, and we know that that's going to come back. That's just a matter of the economy coming back, rooftops coming back, and people having more disposable income. So that's a given. But what have we done? We have recently rezoned 1 square mile of land on the north side of our town that is next to the railroad track. We did our research and we found out that there are very few parcels of property in Will County that are zoned for light industry that have access to a railroad line. So we brought in some people, we talked to them, and we found out that there seems to be some strong interest in that type of development. So we rezoned all that land. It now is zoned for light industry and some commercial and retail along Cedar Road. It was completely out of the box because none of us had ever really thought about it, but we hired an outside consultant to talk to us to say, we can't possibly keep it all residential. We have a huge amount of land that can be used for residential. And this person is the one who brought it up. And once he brought it up, then we looked at it, analyzed it. I brought it to the entire board. We went through it several times, and that was approved. And so that is what's a big deal for our future. It's not smokestack industries. We're not allowing that. It's not an intermodal. We're not allowing that at all. But it's light industry, light impact. It's great for us because it will create jobs. It will create sales tax. It will create property tax. And all of those things will help push down our property taxes even more.
Okay, let him go. What about you, buddy? Mr. Hart?
Thank you. You know what? I don't have the experience of these guys. I'm not going to sit there and say I have a plan that's going to blow everything up.
Just
don't have that.
one idea, anything.
You know what? I honestly, I don't have it.
Just say water the plants. Something.
You know, I want
You gotta
to
have
work.
some new idea that you're gonna do different than they are.
I want to, you know, my main thing, the main reason I was running is for change. To get, absolutely, to get a change in here from the top down. That's what we need to do. And you do that and everything else will work and fall into place. And with the work of everybody else, we can do it, but we need change.
I'd also like to have a clean slate, bring in citizens and figure out what businesses the citizens actually want to have here. I'd like to see a farmer's market again. I mean, I'd like to just work on incentives to get businesses in here. I mean, I think that's the number one thing we need to do. No one's gonna just come here just because they're bored and they want to spend money here. They want to come here because they have an incentive, and that's what we need to focus on.
What about you,
Jamie, you want to finalize it?
Yeah, I'd like out of the box, thinking like hotel convention center is something new. It's something that will bring in business, will market the racetrack and everything around us to draw the people to us. We're easier to get to than Joliet. So that's why I think we should work on something that'll draw people into town that are not just people from town. We don't just want to bring business in town that's just going to be supported by the people in town because we don't have enough people here. That's why we get out of the box. We bring that hotel convention center. Not only does it bring jobs, it can bring wedding receptions. You go, people have Christmas, their relatives come in from town, they have a place to stay. It has Irish Fest, we market that more. You know, you have Labor Day, we can do stuff with that. Then you've got the boat, you've got the racetrack. They're going to have several different races like the sprint cars, the Outlaws, NASCAR, Indy cars, the trucks. You know, they're going to have a lot of different race dates out there now. We market all those dates, and it brings those teams into town because it's easier to get to Manhattan than it is to get to Joliet where they're staying. And some of them are staying in Orland Park and further north. So this way they're close to the track, they're based, that hotel's booked. And they could make it in one day. Then the wedding receptions pick up the slack. So we need to get that in. Then maybe you get another restaurant in. Then maybe you get some other shops in. So it starts bringing people into town to spend money in town, and they find the other businesses. And maybe some of our construction businesses might get a little because they'll come into town, they'll go through town and find out, hey, it's cheaper to come here than it is to go somewhere else. So you market Manhattan this way and you promote the business in town, plus you try to bring some people into town. We got to bring them into town. That's what our goal is. That's what Irish Fest did. It brought them into town. All 3 bars survived the year because of Irish Fest. If they didn't have Irish Fest, they'd gone out of business a couple of years ago. But Irish Fest makes their whole year. It helps them survive the lean times. Because I'll tell you right now, it's tough out there. And more people are staying home than going out anymore because of the economy. As the economy picks up, we got to pick up with it, and we need to spend a little money to promote the businesses in town. The village has got to take a stake in this because it's important to us and our residents that we do this. You know, if we don't care about our businesses, they're going to go away, and our taxes are going to go up. We got to stabilize.
About that hotel, though.
Yes.
Does local contractors have precedence over, no matter union, non-union, that local contractors have precedence over anybody else? If the village has anything to say about it.
The village would encourage them to use local contractors, of course we would. But of course, it's a private enterprise, so they have the right to go out to bid to whoever they want. But we would encourage and give them a list of contractors that we have in town that maybe they could get some business out of it. And the only thing, you know, we're union, non-union, they're going to pay prevailing wage. So
we're all middle class.
Right. So it's unions keep the other people up to a decent wage. You know, that's what unions do. And as soon as you lose the unions, everybody's going to go down like this and lose their money. So they all have a purpose.
Do you think, Jamie, can I ask you a question? I went to Dr. James at Riverside in this town. I was told he loved his town because he could not afford where the rental fee where he was at. They built a whole new thing in Coal City that I went to. Now think about this. Coal City is lower in, well, maybe it isn't lower in population. But when I'm saying, why did he leave Manhattan to go out to Coal City?
I can't tell you why he left because they actually purchased that portion of the building.
Right.
But I can tell you.
No, he rented it.
No, he bought it. They own it.
He did buy it?
Riverside owns it.
They've owned it ever forever.
But we could give tax incentives, like the village could rebate part of their property tax to different businesses to bring them in. It doesn't cost us that much if we're getting sales tax in off of it.
But you don't get sales tax from a
doctor. You don't, but a doctor's an essential service that you'd like into town because we do need doctors in town, and we have one now. They're actually using the place that Provena had at Foxford Plaza there. So, you know, it's
one little half question here. What about? Do you think if any of you mayors, any of you guys get in, do you think you guys can light the streetlights up on Smith Road? You guys got 12 streetlights, brand new.
Here's the problem.
There with the flashlight.
The problem is that the original developer is in different stages of bankruptcy. And unfortunately, that particular developer installed the lights incorrectly underneath the power lines. And in fact, some of the power lines almost touched the arms of the lights. So until that development is 100% under control of either the SSA bondholders for that area or under the control of the bank, there's nothing the village can do at this point in time to move that forward. That has to go through the natural foreclosure and development process, and then once that's done, then we can move and start pushing the bank or whoever ends up with it to fix it and get it going.
There's multiple projects around the board. We got streets with sewers, storm sewers, we got...
Those millions, you're exactly right, there's millions of dollars. And that's why I'm very much in favor of making sure we put money aside every year. Because our roads, and that's what people think, well, once you put in a new road, it's good to go. Well, yeah, it's only good for 10 to 15 years or 20 years. And if you don't maintain it consistently, then the cost triples or quadruples. So you're exactly right. There's parts of our old part of town, they have no storm sewer.
And a question too.
And I mean, that's why we've
been... If you guys get in, and probably more than one of you are going to get in, do you promise not to fight?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Hey, Jamie and I don't agree on anything, but we work together. We work together for 6 years.
We're getting tired of you guys fight.
That's the biggest thing this town has to come back to. All unite as one.
And the
You
village.
have to fight with everybody else and
The way I
arguing.
look at it,
Everybody,
that
including the
pays
people, have to
taxes
come back
in
as
this
one.
town, no matter what their difference of opinion is, are entitled to a piece of the pie.
Well, that's the other thing too. When I got elected back to the board, I did not argue every little issue. It's just the major issues. I've actually voted with him on a lot of things. If it's good for Manhattan, I'm voting for it. If it's not, I'm going to speak up. but I'm not gonna shout and argue and scream over it. I'll bring up my opinion, and if it gets voted down, it gets voted down. Then I'm done with it. But I will keep bringing up my opinion. I don't believe in fighting with anybody on this.
But I think the biggest issue that I've heard in town, I've been here since '91,
everyone gets a chance.
is the way you guys, the two sides argue and nothing's getting done.
Well, Jamie, you know, I want to say something here. Is that Jamie and I, over the last 6 years and that stuff, when you look at our voting record, Jamie and I have agreed on probably 99, maybe 95, okay, 95%.
No.
You said this.
You guys got
discussion 10 years
history
ago. You
before
guys
any
could've-
of us even moved in.
All right.
I know. I don't think.
Pick a number, 88%. The vast majority of times, we agree on many, many things.
Jamie, you pick
there
a
are
number.
some. There are some.
He says 88, you say.
Well, whatever. Okay, 85. Fine, 85%. That's good for me. We have some philosophical differences. There's no doubt about it. But when it's done, and we move on to the next topic. The election process is always rough. It always is. It's
Can you answer a question, Karen, since you're talking? Didn't you say when you first went in that you thought that if you can't get it done in 2 terms, you're not going to run for a third?
Well, the only thing we didn't get done in the 2 terms.
But I mean, didn't you say that?
I never formally said that. I was my intention.
That's why we voted for you.
Well, that's
because
fine.
we thought you'd start a precedence with that, and that
Well,
the
you know
mayor
what?
would be 2
And
terms
I'll
and we
tell
get
you,
new blood in.
And I'll tell you, if the economy had not completely faltered and crashed and burned, we would have got everything done that I would have wanted to accomplish, and I would have stopped then, absolutely. But I need 4 more years to continue to finalize things. I need 4 more years to finally get the commercial and retail up and running.
The economy's not going to change in 4 years.
It's changing already. It's changing already.
Not that 4 years.
It's changing already.
It's going to take a lot more years.
Well, I'm sorry, but
I'm not
housing is
fighting
rebounding.
against you. I'm just saying, I'm just stating a fact. It's going to take more than 4 years to get us out of this mess.
I'm not saying that I'll get it 100% done in 4 years. All I'm saying, though, is that the economy is rebounding. Cars are selling. Houses are selling. Home prices, I read an article at the village board meeting, housing prices in Will County are increasing. Sales are increasing for homes. The amount of short sales and repos have dropped a huge amount. And that's very important because once that's out of the pipeline, that means that all of our homes, our values will rebound, and that means that new home construction won't have to compete with short sales. New home construction can't compete with short sales and repos. And that's all changing. That's all working in our favor. So in 4 years, you are going to see some big difference.
I can say this, walking door to door, we have a lot more foreclosures in this town than the Will County averages, and we have a lot more people on the verge of foreclosure. Just talking to them, they're barely hanging on, and some are in the final stages. So the bubble hasn't burst here yet. It's still going down. We haven't hit the bottom.
I disagree
According
with
to
that.
Naughton, he said that there was one lawyer or one judge in Will County doing foreclosures, and now they have 3. Why did they increase the judges then if it's getting so expensive?
I'm just telling you that the statistics
There's
from the net.
100 houses.
Listen, all I can tell you, I'm just repeating what the National Realtors Association has said, and I'm just telling you what the professional have said. You can choose to believe the statistics that the professional provide or not. It's entirely up to you. I'm just telling you what they said.
There's more than
Mayor, you're quoting statistics though from Will County, right? What you brought up in the
I
meeting?
said the realtors in the Will County area.
But I guess my question is, what about the realtors in Manhattan? Have you
They're
talked
part
to
of Will
anybody?
County. Yeah, I know all about the realtors in Manhattan. I'm involved in real estate.
But let's.
So, I mean, that's the deal. I know that.
May I ask a question?
You have been, go ahead.
What I'm asking is, if you've talked about the statistics in Will County, my
Right.
question is, can you also talk about the statistics in Manhattan and use Will County as a backdrop and the national statistics as a backdrop?
Well, I will tell you that I know that our foreclosures and repos dropped 13% a couple months ago. We had numbers that showed that. As far as what the recent sales in our town, there are none available at this point in time. But I know that from talking to local realtors that showings are up. I know that the amount of time that homes are on the market is down. And those are all positive things.
How can how can the number of days that a house is on the market be down if there are
It's
no
going down.
if there are no sales?
There
I
are
mean,
sales.
okay, then I misunderstood what you just said. I thought you just said that there are no sales at this current time.
No, I said there were no, I don't have real specific numbers for what's happened the last 3 months as far as those resale.
Okay.
But what I can tell you is that the new home construction is going up. We issued 33 permits. So that's new construction, so that's hard data, that's happening.
Yeah,
Every
but
one of
that's
those
new
homes.
construction. I think the
Right, but
residents
that's-
are more interested in hearing
But,
about our houses.
but when new construction rebounds, all the other homes start to rebound too. That means those homes start to pull up their prices. That means that people can sell their home and move to another home. We know that the amount of time that a home sits on the market is down.
What is the
Bill,
days
I do
on-
gotta say something, in our subdivision,
Yeah.
we have 5 or 6 houses sitting
Oh, I
there,
know. I've got one
2
next
and
to
3 years.
I know.
I found out today, 3 neighbors around me are all putting their houses up for sale the next 2 weeks and
I'm not
moving.
here to
What's the days on market for the village, do you know?
I don't know.
You don't
You'd
know
have
what
to
the
talk
days-
to
Mike, what are you gonna do to protect from banks, like having the houses, like renting them out to like Section 8? Just
They can't do that.
Well, first, what I would like to do is look into.
They can't do it?
No.
But you can protect the community a little bit as far as an ordinance that I looked up in Schaumburg and Aurora to prevent crime and everything in your town is you have to in place an ordinance that would have a non-owner occupied dwelling register with the village and do a background check on every tenant that they bring in and make sure they're not convicted of a violent crime or a major sex offender, and that way. So that, huh? I looked up the ordinance. It's an ordinance.
It's just because it's an ordinance.
It's in the town that I work. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and they're doing it in certain towns, but I would like to look into maybe not exactly that one, but
Can we have that this time, neighbor? Can we have this, Amanda?
I would have to ask legal counsel about that. I have no
you'd have to
comment.
look into legalities, but you would adopt the ordinance from them, and you can kind of restructure it to fit our town, not just take it from them. But we have to do something like that because all the foreclosures out there, if they're just renting to whoever, you don't know who's living next to you anymore. It's just not good.
Well, we do have a list of foreclosures and the empty ones, the ones that are still full.
We know all of those.
We have a list of all of them. The banks have to notify us. So we do have an ordinance in
But
place where
they can
do.
rent to whoever.
You're gonna find out.
No, I mean they can really rent to whoever. Just some
Yeah,
guy
well,
walked
it's
by the
hard
street
to-
with
it's
$800 and
But it's hard to discriminate against who you
it's not
rent to, though.
discriminate. I think there's a law about violent crime convicts and stuff like that.
Here's the other thing you gotta understand is.
Because I think that's
most-
all the talk.
most-
We should look into it for sure. That's
most
something we should
banks-
focus on.
Most banks, when they get the property, they don't want to rent it. Because
They want them destroyed.
renters are more problems for them than what they're worth. Because you get the wrong person in there, as Jamie just said, they can destroy their property. The other problem is that when they actually get to the point they can sell the property, they can actually sell it. If there's someone renting there, that person has a legal contract, and that person can stay in that house until that lease expires. No matter if it's sold or not, the lease transfers to the new owner.
lease prevails.
So the lease prevails. So banks don't want to rent because it's a
Well, how come
maintenance
they are
problem.
though? Like in
Most of the
Brookstone,
houses
all the
are.
townhomes are
Most-
being rented.
Townhomes, because what's happening
I can
is
tell
that-
you about that. It's
Most
not,
of-
it's not
it's
the
not the
banks
banks.
renting Brookstone.
No.
Because the homeowners' fees aren't being paid, the homeowners
Oh, the
association
that's
has
what we do
taken
in
it
mine,
over.
too.
Right.
And they're
Yeah.
renting it out.
Yeah,
Right.
we're renting
So
a couple
the banks
hours out
aren't
too.
doing it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
Homeowners
saying.
Association.
Yeah, we're renting too also because you can take possession of it in order to recover funds lost to the association dues.
Right. So
You have
that's
right
what
of
we're
possession.
looking at.
It's still in
You're exactly right.
bankruptcy. but
You, wouldn't rent, you
have right of
pick the
possession.
renters. You don't.
Right.
You don't.
So
you,
that's the
screen
issue.
the
It's
renters.
not the banks. It's really not.
But there's a lot of houses that are left really neglected by banks too that are
Well,
have
that-
some serious issues.
But
that,
see, we've
that hurts our property value when you got a
course.
crappy house next
Yes,
to you,
yes,
and
it
you're trying to
does.
sell yours, and they're like, why is that one just weeds all growing
Well,
up on the inside?
we were at the forefront of this, and Jamie knows this as well. We were the first town to put together a comprehensive program of following all the homes through the foreclosure process. And we have specific guidelines, Nat. So, weeds have to get a certain height, and once they get a certain height,
cut
then we
them
can
and lean
mow it
it.
the first
Yeah.
time, and then we lean the property. And then once we cut it the first time, then we can continue to cut it and continue to lean the property. And we've done that on just about every single house.
we've had that ordinance for years.
As far as that,
We've done all that, so-
as far as that safety thing keeps going, I mean, you got to protect from investors coming in and just buying up all the houses really cheap and just renting them out to everybody. Next thing you know, you got a rental community again.
But see, that's a lot.
I mean, there's 100 and something foreclosures in Manhattan. I think 130.
Yeah, but see, most of them don't go through.
Okay, but I mean,
Most
it's just
of them-
something to look into to protect the community.
You
Because
have
we're
to-
all raising
How many go
families.
through?
Oh, I don't have that.
They all are
I don't
going
have all
through.
these numbers.
Most of them are going
But I'm
through.
just
They're all
saying,
gonna go
I just
through.
know
The
that I know that
people are walking away from their places
A lot
and
of
they're
them
leaving.
we track them from the beginning, and a lot of them
I mean,
end
they're
up
moving in the
being,
middle of the night. They're walking away.
negotiated and short. They negotiate something out of it. Some of them go to short sale. And they don't go through the actual foreclosure process. But
But you were
I mean, a
saying,
lot of
Mike, that there are about 100.
I think there's 138 last time I
But
looked.
yeah, what I'm saying was that
But
that
those
just
are
means
in pre-foreclosure.
that just means that's exactly right.
But the
percentage of the percentage that actually go through the full thing is not anywhere near like that. It's,
we don't know because I mean, if as
Well, yeah,
long-
we do
if someone, well, what's the number then?
But you don't.
I don't specifically know. I'm just
Well, that's
saying
what I'm saying.
we track it
But you
all.
know, you got to
I
just
don't
go by
know.
the
I mean,
fact
I don't know
that
every
at
number.
138 right now, what happens if we get another 138 in the next 5 years? We don't know. We don't want
Well,
that.
right.
But
Of
I'm
course
just
you don't
saying,
want it.
we have to just try to protect the community as much as we can because a lot of people are, moved here and have young families that are raising families, and we want to make it a community again, having movie night in the park.
you know, that's-
different
that's-
things, educational programs for kids to do, and
Absolutely.
we don't want this burden of
That's
empty
like-
homes everywhere that our kids are going to go play in.
Everybody
That's all
agrees.
it's-
That's,
yeah.
I agree. Everybody wants to protect their house.
Yeah,
All right. Thank you very much, everyone. I appreciate it. Have a great evening. Don, good luck in the election. Mike, good luck. Jamie, thank you very much. Thank you. Have a good night now. Take care.